guess what, folks? It's day one of our cross-country road trip.
Well, it's our summer trip. We're not really going cross-country. Well, I guess technically from Florida to Maine. That's
pretty much cross-country.
Last year we went east to west. This time we're going north to south.
Yeah.
You have to excuse us. It is early. We got up very early this morning in anticipation of probably the longest drive of the trip. We're going to go all the way from South Florida up to near Columbia, South Carolina. It's about 8.5 hours on the GPS, so we're guessing it's going to take 10 plus hours for us, towing the tow vehicle. Yep. And limited in our speed, and it's Monday also, so traffic, we have to deal with that as well.
We'll see.
But we'll get back with you after that. Rose has had her coffee and I've had some kind of caffeine.
Agreed. Hey there, I'm Rose.
And I'm Dan. And we are the Half-Ass Travelers. Now that I've had my caffeine and I'm a little more awake, thank God I'm awake because I'm driving. Yeah, Rose broke out the Red Bull. Let's talk about what our plans are for this trip. We plan on being on the road for a little under 2 months. We're going to be heading up the east coast of the United States. We're going to be crossing over the Smoky Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains and going up into Maine and then coming back from there. Our path is going to take us first to family in South Carolina, then up to North Carolina, into the Smoky Mountains by Gatlinburg, then over to Kentucky, right?
Yeah, we're going to go to Mammoth Cave, right?
Yes, Mammoth Cave and some other places there. And then we're going to start heading east because we need to be in Maine by a certain date. We have the only place we have reservations, the only campground that we have reservations for is a week in Maine, and we are basically winging it for the rest of it. We're only going to be making those plans as we go. As far as what we're going to film, we're probably not going to do what we did last trip. We filmed a lot of the drive. We're going to film some of the drive, but we're going to focus mostly on the campgrounds that we're visiting and some of the sites that we're seeing.
And some of the neat things we're going to do while we're out there.
Yeah, and spattered in between all of that's going to be the learning experience of us trying to learn this new RV, the whole new thing to us of towing a tow vehicle and being able to go out and explore from a base camp at the RV parks. So for right now, we're on our way to South Carolina, and we probably won't film much there. We'll probably pick it up once we're leaving our family's house when we're heading into the mountains. All right, let's go.
Well,
we had a somewhat uneventful stay in South Carolina with family. We did have an issue. We are noticing that when we use the shore power cable that has been converted to a normal outlet, so not the 30 amp cable, if we're using a 15 to 20 amp cable from the house, the 120 line, we notice that the batteries are still draining if we try to run something as small as the air conditioner. And if we put on lights and everything, it's drawing a ton of amps and it's draining down the batteries. Last night, plugged into shore power with the refrigerator on, just the refrigerator, and it was at 100% when we went to bed. When we got up, it was at about 70%. So I'm not sure if that's just an issue with the tempered down plug, or if it's an issue with something in the coach. I called the Tiffin rep, I called La Mesa also, and they never got back to me. But this guy Greg at Tiffin, great guy. He spent over an hour with me on the phone just running diagnostics of the systems. Tiffin, they were excellent at that. I have to give them credit. He did a really good job of trying to explain the electronics to me with the Victron. We updated some settings. Apparently the dealership had not updated the Victron settings for the lithium batteries. They were still set for AGM batteries.
Yep.
So that was important. We had to update those settings. It made it a little bit less of a draw, so we were happy that we got to do that. But we're still kind of concerned about that umbilical issue. So tonight we're going to a campground up in North Carolina. When we get there, we're going to connect to 30 amp service, and we're going to see if that
makes any difference.
That makes any difference. If that charges the battery, then we just know that the 15 amp umbilical is just not going to work for us if we want to run the refrigerator. That's just the way it is. But we'll let you know when we get there on that. Today we are going to be making our first trip, our first venture into the mountains. We are going to be driving on the Blue Ridge Highway. Yep. Rose, are you ready for this?
I most certainly am ready.
Now, Rose is very familiar with driving these highways. I have grown up in Florida my whole life mostly, so you know we did do that trip out west. So we have driven the mountains, but it's just the RV has been on Florida roads, and we've been on Florida roads for a little over a year now. So we have to get back used to driving in these mountains. So it's going to be a little interesting when we get up there. We're not really sure what condition. The campground is kind of up on the top, right off of the Blue Ridge Parkway. So yeah, Rose is all excited about that. We're trying to stay somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. So, but we don't know what the road conditions are going to be like, and we are towing the Jeep. If it starts getting too steep, like maybe over a 6% grade, we may have to at some point disconnect the Jeep, and we really don't want to do that if we don't have to, but we're going to find out. This is a learning experience for us, and we'll let you know how that Jeep tows, because we are right at the top of our towing capacity. Our GCWR, we're not loaded down, so we have a few hundred pounds to spare, but it's going to be interesting. So we'll let you know when we get there. Let's go.
Well, looks like we ran into a little bit of storminess. Hopefully it clears up before we get into the mountains.
Yeah, check this out. Yeah, that's okay.
It happens.
That it does. Welcome to North Carolina.
Woohoo!
Let's talk a little bit about how the Wayfarer handles on these mountainous highways. We just got into the nitty-gritty of the of the hills and dales, and we're going back and forth, so I have to concentrate. But I will tell you, while we were on the interstate and some of the other highways, the Wayfarer handled fine. Sorry, all the crashing of the silverware drawers and everything opening up behind us kind of distracted me a little. Those drawers have been opening and closing as we've been going, but when they close all the way. So I don't know, just you don't want to put anything too heavy in those drawers, obviously.
That was one of the things that we found was very important, was to have the locking mechanisms on those drawers. And
yeah,
here we go.
It's important to have locks. All right, as I was saying about on the highways, the Wayfarer pulling the Jeep, you know it's there. When you're going uphill, you're going to drop. We always try to maintain the speed limit, but there's no possible way when you're going up some of these hills to maintain at 70. Usually we would drop down to about 65, and in the steeper ones, we would drop down to about 60 or so.
Ooh, cows.
But it was squirrel. We get distracted by the little things. But now that we're on these I guess we're on our way to the Blue Ridge Parkway. But the these roads that are weaving in and out between these farms and quarries and beautiful landscape and some not so beautiful demolished buildings. It's handling just fine. There's plenty of torque to get the Jeep going, and stopping has not been an issue. But we'll let you know once we get on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I'm a little interested to see how we do there. We haven't really hit anything especially steep yet, but we'll see if we can find something, and we'll let you guys see that too. All right, let's go. We just hit a particularly steep grade. I don't know if you can hear the whining of the engine. I'm at about just under 3,000 RPMs. We're doing about 31 miles an hour. I don't know what this grade is, but it's pretty steep. The truck's going the other way, all of their flashers on. Now we're down to 30, and we're losing speed as we go. It's a little rough going up the hill, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. It's doing pretty well. It's able to maintain. You can see these switchbacks and everything. It's other than the cabinets opening in the back and closing. Whoa. As long as we keep our speed up, we should be okay getting up these hills. And we're actually starting to accelerate here a little bit, so that's pretty good. Now we're going to let these cars behind us that have been waiting patiently go, and we will get back to you when we hit the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's getting really steep here on our way up to the parkway. You can hear the engine keeps downshifting, which is good. We're able to maintain speed. It's pretty steep and pretty windy and twisty. The speed limit's 35, but we can't make that. We're lucky to make 25 right now. When it evens out, we can catch up, but then there's just another hill. But we're making through it fine. I'm actually surprised that we're able to maintain these speeds and even in some places accelerate on these inclines. All right, I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway when I was a kid in the back of our family station wagon, and we lost the brakes coming down. But I vaguely remember the road, but I don't remember it being like this. I thought when I think parkway, I think at least to have a shoulder. This is the parkway, at least in this section, and I love it. It is so beautiful. I love how it's narrow and quaint, and it looks like a trail. It looks like a hiking trail rather than just a parkway. Rose, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I love it. Everything is so lush and green, so many trees and beautiful flowers everywhere. I mean, this is great. I'm sure that they have a ton of hiking trails, and I can't wait to see the waterfalls from what they said in the brochures. So, how do you feel about it? You ready to go hiking? I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm just enjoying the beauty of this. We'll show you a little bit of it in the video, and we are still only about 6 miles from our campsite, so we'll check back in with you when we get there.
Sounds good. Wow. That's all I have to say. Wow.
In half a mile, you'll arrive. Your destination will be on your right.
Well, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is about what I expected. It's almost a paved road. It's sort of paved and gravelly. It's a little narrow. Yeah. Like if somebody came out of here with a big fifth wheel right now, I don't know. I don't think I know what we would do. Maybe unhook the Jeep and then just go backwards. I don't know. This is very rustic, and it's
That's a good word.
Quiet out here. It's quiet. Definitely quiet.
Well, you want it up in the mountains. We're up there.
Yep, this is Bear's Den Campground. It's a Spacious Skies RV resort. It is right off the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it is out in the middle of nowhere. And right now we're looking for the office. We haven't seen anybody or anything yet. So We're not really sure where we're going. We're just not going in any driveways that say private.
Right.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Oh, there it is. There's the sign.
Oh, there's a little... Okay, we're here.
Yes, we are here. Oh, look, ping pong tables. Look, a little rock climbing wall, a little mini rock climbing wall.
It's cute.
You've arrived. Destination is on your right.
Oh, look at this. This is so cool. Bear den. Look, there's the bear.
There's Yogi.
Mm-hmm.
Where you going, babe?
I don't know. Reset. GFI. It shouldn't matter. I'm on shore power. Shouldn't even use the inverter.
What's been happening?
We're getting no power off of the shore power cable.
Hey, hon, why don't you just tell us what's going on?
I don't even know where to begin. 2 hours ago, we were 3 hours ago. Has it been that long? More than 3 hours ago, we were checking into a campground on the Blue Ridge Parkway, as you saw. And when we arrived to our campsite, we connected to the shore power, and none of the power from the pedestal was reaching the coach, or reaching the batteries. It was reaching the coach, it just was not recharging the batteries. That's not good. The batteries were not recharging, and they were draining. The only way, and we turned on the generator, and the generator was also not charging the batteries.
Nope.
The only way we could charge the batteries at least a little bit was to turn on the chassis. And after a while, for some reason, the amperage draw increased to where that wasn't even charging the batteries. So we were in a situation where if we stayed where we were without any kind of battery charger, like a trickle charger or whatever, we would have woken up with dead batteries.
We tried calling everybody and everywhere.
The folks at the Bear Den campground could not have been better.
Right.
Brandy especially, but the entire crew. We went down to the. We didn't have much of a signal upstairs, so went down to the office and we got phone numbers for all kinds of mobile RV. Unfortunately, now it's getting near 5 o'clock, 4:30, and most of those places were closed. A couple of them did call us back. 2 of them had been out of business. Those numbers were long out of business, and they weren't even doing it anymore. But there was like a 2-week time delay to come out for an emergency repair, emergency service. To me, it's 2 weeks to do an emergency. So we were really stuck. We didn't know what to do. We were just
very stressed out.
Yeah, totally stressed out. This is a brand new coach. This thing's a week old. We did do a tryout at home. We went to the campground. Everything appeared to be working fine. But now, starting with when we tried to hook up to shore power and with Britt family in South Carolina, none of that power is reaching where it needs to go. Now, one of the gentlemen...
Although you didn't check it when you were at the campground.
What?
We just assumed
What are you talking about?
that it was working, that it was charging. We never really paid attention to it.
Are you talking about in West Palm Beach?
Right.
Right, yeah. Well, it was working. At least the battery was charged. Now, that could have been charging from solar. I don't know. I didn't really look at it that closely because it appeared to be working. One of the gentlemen did call me back. He's out of town and with family. And he did mention that it could be an issue with the converter. Because apparently there's two sides to the converter, one going to the coach and one going to the to charge the batteries. So it could be that half the converter is not working. The transfer switch, when I was clicking on the coach, I could hear it clicking. So it sounded like the transfer switch might have been working, but for some reason we just were not getting anything to charge the batteries, and it wasn't even appearing as amperage that was coming into where the Victron battery charger was. I hope that's not too technical. For those of you who are interested in that, I wanted to share that. For those of you not interested in that, just know that this sucks. We are so upset right now. We've got a brand new coach. We should not be having to deal with this stuff, but we also know, we've been telling people for years that, yes, this is the kind of thing that happens with a brand new coach. We're just hoping that the issue is not that when they put in the lithium batteries that they did not set them up correctly, because that would be a total bummer. We would feel completely betrayed by the dealer, but that wouldn't surprise us either. So I don't know. Right now we are on our way back to South Carolina. It is the closest home base that we have with our family. We're going to get there around 9 o'clock tonight, so we're not going to film any of that because it's going to get dark. And frankly, we're just not in the mood.
Yeah, we're done.
And we're going to try to see if we can take it to a local repair place that works on Tiffins. It's under warranty, for God's sakes. It's a week old. And try to see if they can diagnose and fix the problem so we can get back going on this road trip. For those of you who have been in this situation before, you know how frustrating it is. You feel like the world is ending, even though, these are first world problems. It doesn't negate the fact that we are bummed and we are completely just
extremely.
We feel completely drained of energy, and we like turning lemonade into lemons. This is the similar feeling to what we had when our inverter went when we were in Arizona and we had to drive 5 hours to Albuquerque and wait 5 days to have it repaired.
Yeah.
Similar feeling to that. But we're going to work on it. I mean, the campground was really good about it. They went ahead and allowed us. We're going to be able to change our dates, so we're not going to lose that.
They were very nice, yeah.
We have a campground that we had booked after that we're going to try to move those dates as well. So we're not worried there. We just want to get this thing going. We want to get going on our trip. It's just, we love the camping, and we want to keep going, right, Ed? Rose is ready to have her new RV working, everything working right.
Darn.
To get out there and do some RVing. We were in the woods. We were so
there.
close.
No, we were there.
We were getting bit by mosquitoes. The gnats were flying around our heads. It was perfect.
Yeah.
But now we're going back to South Carolina. All right, we will check in with you as soon as we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you more of an update.
Back to South Carolina.
Well, a lot has happened since our debacle in North Carolina. We did make it back to Columbia and back to our family's house. And we spent the next day, we called over a dozen folks, RV mobile repairs, local dealerships, Tiffin authorized dealers, and we had a hard time finding anybody that would be able to do an emergency service or look at this thing in a timely manner until we spoke to these folks. This is Tony's RV Parts and Service in Lexington, South Carolina. They had a 2-week backlog, but when they heard what we suspected was the issue, they agreed to have us bring it on in, and they really kind of treated us very special and put us near the front of the line because they knew that we were on the road, and we really appreciate them for that. They've gone above and beyond. They couldn't have been nicer, and they've made the whole experience a little bit better. So thumbs up to them, and we are not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form. We're paying for our repair just like anybody else. We're just very happy at the service we've gotten. So we brought the RV down to Tony's, and within I'd say about 10 minutes of looking through the RV, they figured out that what went wrong was the converter was kaput. And for those of you who don't know what a converter is, neither did we when we first started doing this. We suspected that that's what it was. Basically what that does is it takes the power from the source and it splits it up to the 12-volt panel and the battery charging. And at least one side of that wasn't working correctly. So that's why we did not have any battery charging going on. Now, we did have power to the coach. The suggestion that we go get a trickle charger to keep the batteries charged, we could have limped along that way, but we would have still been limping along that way, and now it's 3 days later. We were unlucky in the fact that they did not have any converters in stock. We didn't really think they would. It would be very unusual for them to carry a specific part for a specific motorhome like that. So we brought the coach in on Friday, and obviously they weren't going to be able to get it till Monday. So now it's Monday. We took the coach back, and now we're back. The part has just arrived. It is Monday afternoon. They just took the Wayfarer back to the shop, and they're going to be working on installing that converter. Actually, they couldn't order just the converter. They had to order the entire converter panel housing. I don't know. If you have a Wayfarer and you look down by the bedroom, you'll see where the circuit breakers are and the fuses. That whole box they had to order. So right now we're waiting for them to swap out the old box with the new box, and hopefully that's going to take care of our problem. Now, there may have been an underlying reason why the converter failed that was outside of the construction of the converter. We're hoping that's not the case. They are going to test to see if there's any issues once they get that thing installed to make sure we don't have a repeat of the problem. We'll keep you posted as soon as we hear. As you can see behind me, the repair was successful. Once they got the part, the repair took a whopping 1 hour. Converter repairs or converter replacements are very simple. It's only a matter of, I think, maybe 4 or 5 wires and a few screws, and slide out one converter and slide in the other one. Sounds easy, doesn't it? Well, not when you don't know what you're doing. So we're very appreciative to the folks here at Tony's RV. They got us back on the road, and now I'm gonna take the RV back to our family's house for the night, and then tomorrow we're heading back up into the Blue Ridge Mountains and up on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Let's go.
Well, it's take 2.
Yeah, we feel like deja vu. It's deja vu all over again, because we are now heading north from South Carolina into North Carolina one more time. The good news is it is a much more beautiful day for driving. We got rained on the entire time last time, right?
Yeah.
Well, now it's sunny. It's 79 degrees, which is the coolest it's been in weeks. And we are optimistic that we are not going to have any more trouble on this trip, right?
Better not.
Yeah, well, I think that's wishful thinking. Yeah. Just a quick recap of the events of we're calling it the converter debacle. We'll probably come up with a more catchy name for it as we tell stories in the years to come. But the bottom line is, we weren't getting any battery charge out of the shore power or the generator. The only thing that was charging the batteries was the chassis, and there's a reason for that. That charge comes from a different source. It goes right to the battery. So that should have told us right away that it was the converter. We always have to, diagnose and eliminate other things. But now that we've done research, I've been doing research on this for the past 3 days, and I think I finally got it down to how everything works and in line. And I think I could even do a converter replacement by myself now that I know how to do it and what exactly it entails. What, are you shaking your head, Rose? Rose doesn't have as much faith in me as I have in me, but hopefully we won't need it because everything is repaired. We checked it last night. We actually plugged into 15 amp power at the house, and we had the correct voltage, the correct amperage. And now that we're driving with the chassis running, we have the correct voltage and the correct amperage. So it seems like the converter is doing its job. I actually heard the converter fan kick on this morning, and that's the first time I ever noticed that.
Yep.
So I don't know how long our converter was broken. You know, it may have been broken when we got the coach. I doubt it, because we were at a campground before. But we may just not have noticed and not running the battery down. So yeah, so that's where we are. We are enthusiastic. Right now we're heading to Walmart to get some supplies, and then we're heading up into the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Blue Ridge Parkway, back to the same campground. They were nice enough to move our reservation for us, including the night that we showed up. So we didn't lose any money on the deal. The other campground we had booked, we were able to cancel that with no penalty. This is one of the reasons that we do everything last minute. We don't really make reservations that far out in advance, unless it's like a special occasion, like in Maine, where we're meeting our friends. All right, having said all that, you ready, Rose? You ready to tackle these mountains again?
I'm ready.
We are confident. Now we are feeling much better about the grades, the steep grades, now that we've done it. And it's just a little tricky coming down with these paddle shifters on the Mercedes. It still wants to over rev. You still have to use the brakes, but you just got to take it nice and slow. And that's what we're going to do. So we'll check back in with you later. Rose, you got anything for us? A little donkey kick? Come on, give us a donkey kick. There we go. Good one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is it dark, or can we see? I think they can see. They can see us. Well, this was our first successful real-life camping experience night.
Yes.
We were a little concerned when we first plugged in to the campsite on the 30 amp shore power. It looked like we were still drawing amps. On the Victron app, it showed us still drawing amperage while we were plugged in. But I'm thinking that that is an aberration, that's something that's just showing the drain. I don't think it's like a real life thing. I don't think we were ever in danger of running the batteries out. It showed like we had 10 days worth of battery power. But then I checked back on it 15 minutes later, and the battery had charged from 83% to 100, and we have had no problem since. The converter, which is right inside at the foot of the bed in the bedroom, has a fan on it, and with the old converter we had never heard that fan run, or at least we didn't remember hearing it run. So the fan's been running on and off all night like it's supposed to. Whenever it heats up, the fan turns on to cool it, and then it shuts off. So everything appears to be working great. We couldn't be happier, right, hon?
Right.
Yep, we had a great breakfast. Rose did the bacon and eggs on the
nice brioche bun.
Yeah, on the induction cooktop and the microwave, but not at the same time, just in case. Right. And yeah, it was nice and cool last night. We didn't have to run the air conditioner. It was just a beautiful night. We couldn't be loving it more. What a difference a week makes, right, hon?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now we're on our way out to do some exploring on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Let's get
our first stop. Yeah, Linville Gorge and Linville Falls. We'll take you with us. We'll show you a little bit. We're not going to focus too much on the trails, I think, in these videos like we did in last year's videos. We'll see. But we do want to show you where we're going, but we don't want you guys to be bored either. So, with that being said, let's go.
Let's go.
We've decided that now that we are on the road and everything is working well, we're going to end this video here, and we are going to start the next video with our adventures on this trip, and we're going to start it right here on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we'll hope you will join us for the next video. We hope you enjoyed the last video. If you did, give us a thumbs up because it helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And we hope you consider subscribing. 95% of you that are watching this video are not subscribed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, the Half-Assed Travelers. No donkey kick this morning? Rose loves giving the donkey kick. We'll see you in the next episode.